the win in Texas, giving Hendrick Motorsports its 300th career victory, and Byron his sixth win, the most wins in the NASCAR Cup Series. We also had drivers that were in the playoffs wreck. Playoff points have been turned upside down. And next week, we go to Talladega. Let's talk about it here on this Texas-sized race review. What's going on, everybody? My name is Ryan Peters. Thank you for tuning in. Running a little bit late. I was outside at a pumpkin patch and took the kids and the family, and my face is all sorts of red from being out in the sun all day. And well, it's been a tough week for me in sports. Got to watch Notre Dame, my Fighting Irish, one of the most gut-wrenching losses probably since the Bush push. A few years back, a few decades back now. God, that seems way too long. And well, obviously, I'm a Kyle Busch fan and a very disappointed one, and that as well with what happened to Kyle Busch. But so anyway, hopefully your driver did well. If you're had a playoff driver, it was probably an up and down. So the quick question to begin today's race review is: was it a good race? And I think the first thing I would say is it was a solid race. I wouldn't say it was a great race. I wouldn't say it was a bad race, but it was Texas. Everything was low at the beginning of the race until the groove moved up some. It definitely came with some drama, and it looked like it wasn't going to be any drama until JJ Yaley ended up wrecking there towards the end when Kyle Larson had, I believe, a 5-second lead, 6-second lead. And that just kind of threw everything for a wrench. And we had multiple wrecks after that. Guys went up in points. Guys went down in points. Guys did really, really well. Guys did really, really bad. And yeah, it was, I would say a 7 out of 10. I would say a 7 out of 10. And we have a fan that was there. What's going on, Truex fan? He says it was a great race. Let me know what you think, Truex fan. What would you give it 1 out of 10? I said a 7. Races are always better there. And I will be able to say that next week when I'm in Talladega. But I'd like to hear what you thought it was there, Truex fan, at the track. But yeah, it was all kinds of stuff going on there. And more importantly, Willie B gets the win at Texas. He gets a great last chance restart. But him and Bubba Wallace right at each other. Bubba gets loose and then washes up the track, and William B capitalizes on it. And again, William Byron for most of this race was in the mid-20s to low teens, and then they made the pit call to stay out when other people stayed on the track with Rudy Fugle, and that has been the difference this year with William Byron. Like it's been like a mix of like 4 races. It didn't feel like he should have won or deserved to win, which, I mean, you deserve to win if you win, but it just didn't feel like you're going to say that William Byron's going to win this race. And that was another one of these races today that it just felt like everything bounced his way. Darlington in the spring earlier this year, I believe he won at Atlanta when it started raining, and he just happened to be in the best position right there and, at the end. So just some different ways that the ball bounces sometimes in your favor. And right now the flags have fallen, the cautions have fallen in William Byron's favor, and he has 6 wins on the season. He's kind of pedestrian there in the first round and didn't do a whole lot at the end of the season, but here you go. Locks himself into the round of 8, and I don't think that's surprising to anybody. He had the most points, so it doesn't hurt him. He actually gains on Truex starting on the next round unless Truex was to win a race. So, definitely a high contender to make the Final Four, after making his way to the round of 8. So, a great job for him. Historically, 300 wins for Hendrick Motorsports. Nobody has hit the 300 mark. So congratulations to Hendrick Motorsports fans, Rick Hendrick himself, and getting a historic mark there in the NASCAR Cup Series, getting their 300th win. As you can see on the thumbnail, even Rick was supporting the big hat for the 300th win, so that was pretty neat. And the 25-year-old William Byron, he's a staple as a top echelon driver, at least for this year. I mean, he has done so well. The crew chief making the right call and doing what he needs to get to victory lane. And they got just as good a shot as anybody else to win the championship this year. So congratulations to William B. Looks like Truex fan says it was a 10 out of 10 race. So I will let you say that as somebody who went. The other big piece of racing news in terms of drivers that ran really, really well was Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace started on the pole. Bubba Wallace was 2 restarts out on the lead, and unfortunately on that last restart got loose battling with William Byron and washed up the track a little bit, fell behind Ross Chastain, and finishes in 3rd place. But I said on my preview show when it came to the round of 12, I said I have Bubba Wallace out, and it's really, really, really hard for me to put him out of the chase right now in the next round because how well he's ran. And again, another showing today shows why that is. He definitely could have a really good showing next week as well. I was worried for him to make up the points with the Roval. That's the problem. Because if you want to count on Talladega to make up points, and we're talking about a driver that's going to have to do that now, it really is dancing with the devil. And if Bubba Wallace was to win today, that would send shockwaves definitely across social media. He is a polarizing figure. But I made a video not that long ago that Bubba Wallace deserves credit. And again today, while it didn't go his way on the final restart, 2 out of the 3, he did really well. He has shown this year that he has made a step in the right direction. He has been better than Tyler Reddick for the last 2 months. That was never the case before. Bubba Wallace was always the second fiddle driver at 2311. He was always the 5th or 6th best driver for Toyota. And Bubba Wallace has shown this year that he has taken a drastic step when it comes to competing in a 1.5 mile at super speedways. Did decent enough at Watkins Glen. He has made monumental strides as a race car driver. Do I like Bubba Wallace? No, I don't. And I probably never will because he has done things over and over and over again to prove to me that I just don't care for him as a person. But as a driver, I'll say it once and I'll probably say it again. He's done a lot on the track to be so much better than what he was before. Now, on the second to last restart, he was battling with Kyle Larson. Now, I think at the beginning, most people were assuming that Kyle Larson was touched or whatever it may be. But after the replay shows, Kyle Larson just drove that bad boy in there way too hard and ended up wrecking himself out. And, I mean, it's just shocking what happened during that last restart. And just a big, big miss there by Kyle Larson. And I'll show it here to you guys live on my share screen here. And, just a big miss right here by Kyle Larson. He goes into the turn.
He's going to have to stay aggressive, stay tight on the door of this 5.
Bubba Wallace is there doing what he needs to do, and he just completely loses it.
He slides it into the wall. He goes. The caution comes out.
Just get it rolling. Just get it rolling. You're fine.
And from what looked like was going to be an easy win for Larson, turns out to put him completely on his head when it comes to the playoffs now. I mean, he was, unless something monumentally terrible happened like that, he was making himself into the next round. He was my driver. I said, who's it going to be between Larson and Hamlin to win the championship? And now because of one wrong move, racing Bubba Wallace just a little bit too hard and losing his car, you'll see here in just a minute where the playoff standings line up now. he is barely on the cusp of making it in. He's not a great driver when it comes to super speedways. He's probably decent enough at the Roval. But the whole point of why he was the favorite is because this is the type of race he has had speed at and could easily win. Was in that spot, did not have to do that with, I believe it was 12 laps to go, and completely flipped the playoffs on his head. So, a huge, huge wreck there for Kyle Larson. Battling with Bubba Wallace. There was no contact there. Kyle Larson just sent it in too hot, and the back end turned around. And unfortunately, for someone like myself, he wasn't the only driver to send it in too hot, because at the early stages of this race, Kyle Busch got up to third place and said he thought his right front tire was going flat. He said it's chattering, it doesn't feel right, and he decided to stay out. Said, hey, battle it. There's 5 laps left in the stage. Stay out. Well, unfortunately, he did stay out, and we got to witness this, which now puts Kyle Busch in last place in the stands for the playoffs. Here it is from Brad Keselowski's front bumper.
Oh, he's spinning out.
Up into the wall goes Kyle Busch. And hard contact with the back of the car. The caution comes out with under 7 laps to go in the stage.
My goodness.
And that'll do it. My goodness is correct. Just, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I told you guys, I said the 2 people I'm having a hard time with when it comes to making my predictions for the round of 12 to make to the 8 was keeping Kyle Busch in and knocking Bubba Wallace out. And after today, I feel really dumb mixing those things up. And, I feel like Bubba Wallace got the speed to make it on, and Kyle Busch is just, he's had so many things. I mean, like, we had to celebrate that he didn't wreck in practice or qualifying this week. I mean, that's just how crazy it's been here recently. But, he finds himself 17 points out, and we might as well just go ahead and look at that. Here are the playoff standings now. William Byron, obviously automatically in. Denny Hamlin at plus 37. Chris Buescher with a good day. Christopher Bell, a very up and down day. His pit crew hates him. Joe Gibbs has tried to ruin Christopher Bell, and his pit crew hates him, and he still find a way to get a top 5. Martin Truex, not a great day, did good enough. Ross Chastain got second for a guy that did not compete pretty much the whole race. Brad Keselowski got mixed up in the back. They decided to pit. That wasn't the greatest decision because so many cars stayed out. And here's where you see Kyle Larson at plus 2, and Bubba Wallace, who would have automatically been in with a win, is still 2 points out after being, I believe, 16 points out to begin this round. Tyler Reddick with not a great running. Ryan Blaney, another guy that wrecked at the end there on that next to last restart. Looked like everybody, including Tyler Reddick, came off the turn, and all of them just slammed into the wall going into the quad oval. And Ryan Blaney spun out of that. And then, of course, Kyle Busch, minus 17. Speaking as a selfish Kyle Busch fan, I mean, 17's not bad. At one point, it was 30. So he did not get to finish the stage. I believe he got third from last. So it's not impossible, but he has to have a hellacious running at Talladega, and he's going to need some help. So we shall see. It's playoffs. We're in the second round. I enjoyed every second of it. Outside of my driver, of course, being knocked out. It was a little bit of a lull there in the middle, but for what it's worth, Texas was better than Bristol to me in my mind. And again, it just felt like we'd never say that. But, the guys driving up front, we had comers and goers. Bubba Wallace was really fast on short stretches and then lost speed during the long runs. Denny Hamlin probably had a car to win this race until he speared Ty Gibbs, who was, for whatever reason, running in the middle of pit lane. We had all kinds of different things. Strategy happened there at the end. One of those races that everything and anything could happen and did happen. And that's why, it was a big mess in Texas there for a few of these playoff drivers. But we will be back again. I will be here on Wednesday for the live show. Hopefully, for God's sakes, please give us a schedule. I want to talk about the schedule. I'd like to see what NASCAR is going to do on it. Possibly some more silly season news. We still don't know what's going on with the number 10. We still don't know if anybody's buying charters, all kinds of stuff. And, we'll get into that as it comes about as well. And this weekend I will be at Talladega, so there will not be a race review on Sunday. But again, I'll bring that up later on. So it'll probably be on a Monday. And we'll see if I get time to do a let's talk about it. We'll see what plays out during the week so we can, just usually a little 13, 14-minute video about where I bring up one of the hot topics in NASCAR or one of the thought processes to see what you guys are thinking, see if you align with me or differentiate. But again, these are the ways that you can support the show. Follow us on Facebook. You can donate at Patreon if you feel free to, or you can follow us on Rumble. Again, liking the video, subscribing to the video, and sharing this, hitting the icon so you know whenever we go live so you can be part of the conversation. Those are great ways to be a part of Stuck in the Catch Fence as well. And it is greatly appreciated in all the things that you guys do. So that's going to wrap it up. This has been a race review, a Texas-sized race review. But next week, we have a Talladega-sized race. So hopefully you're having a wonderful night. Stay safe and God bless.